And I don't know, I kind of got into creating my own things through like wanting things that I've seen that I never had before. I always wanted to be sustainable, but I thought I had to like buy so many things. Like I have to buy like glass mason jars and Tupperware containers. But then when I started to see the medium of where I could hone into the stuff that I had and turn it into something that I want or that I was longing for, that I wanted to try out, that I could just make it myself with like the addition of a couple of things like some beeswax or some string or something like that. Yeah. Okay. So currently, if anybody wants to like ask me anything or like jump in, feel free. But currently I am grading some beeswax. I have a good little bit right here. But this situation here is creating reusable beeswax food wraps. And to begin with, the ingredients are beeswax. If you don't have beeswax pellets, then you use a grater, a parchment sheet, a baking pan, and 100% fabric. And then you can cut it up into your squares. Okay. So what you first want to do is preheat your oven, because you don't want to wait. Like you don't want to let your fabric get hot in the oven because you're not baking your fabric. You are melting your beeswax. So you preheat your oven on 350 degrees. Mine is already preheated. And you take your 100% cotton sheet and cut it into the size you want. So actually, I came prepared. So I have this little bottle, and I made my sheet this small so it could be a demo, and I wanted to try it for this size bottle. I made one before this and it was pretty big, so I wanted to try a small one. But you could also do like this size or like literally any size, depending on how much beeswax you want to use and how big your container is. Like if you had a big bowl, a big salad bowl, you could use like a big circle like this. And I think I'm gonna continue grading.
Dee, I'm curious where you got the beeswax. Like, where does the average person find that easily? And the stuff that I've bought, I find it's pretty expensive. So just wondering where you got yours and how much you typically spend on that.
Okay. Maddie can help me out with this question because I actually had like a very hard time accumulating this beeswax for these beeswax wraps. But the goal was to use from the market, from the farmer's market on Wednesdays, to use that beeswax that I typically go and see. With like time restraints and things of the sort, I wasn't able to do that. So Maddie gave me some, and Maddie can attest to like where she got this beeswax from. But I also do have a very hard time acquiring beeswax. And when I make chapsticks, and when I first started making chapsticks, I don't know, like I was able to speak to through the hive about like needing to acquire wax, but I personally, I haven't followed through. But in terms of sustainable beeswax, I just wish that I did a better job with it. I know that I can, but I just that's just my truth. Like I don't do as well as I can with it.
Yeah, we bought some for our candles and it was like $8 to $16 a pound. And then when we tried to get it out of the Dickinson hive, we spent hours and we got like this much and it was nasty. Like it was like, not nasty, but not like the stuff you buy that comes in these like beautiful bricks that you can like grate on the grater. It was like a ball of like the wax you used to put on your braces. You know what I mean? Like all soft and malleable and like, yeah. So yeah, we haven't really harvested it, but yeah, Maddie, where'd you find it?
They come in these little circles. It's from the market. I literally just ran there today. he said about one of these little pellets, circles are about like an ounce of beeswax or something, and it was $1 for one of these.
Okay, yeah, so like $16 a pound he's selling it for. And I'm telling you,
Yeah,
that's because it is like a beast to harvest.
Yeah, it's like a little less when you buy it in bulk, but nevertheless,
Okay.
still, you know, a little expensive, yeah.
This is Jenna.
I have a question. So for the like prep document, it said something about since we're on the topic of beeswax. Beeswax pellets work too. Are they like interchangeable for the same step of the process, or are there different steps of this process that include each?
No, it's the same process. Generally, what the beeswax pellets go for, and I don't know, with convenience comes some, like, when you're trying to be like what I'm trying to be sustainable and convenient, I have to consider like where I'm getting everything from. So even with the beeswax pellets, which I'm used to using for things like crafting, I'm now grading this beeswax, and it's not giving me a hard time at all. So I'm gonna like reconsider even like this beeswax, but generally the pellets are just so that it could spread onto the fabric. So I'm gonna like lay the fabric onto this baking sheet, and this is just what is this? Wax paper. This is just wax paper, like baking wax paper, and yeah, the pellets just allow you to sprinkle it on for even distribution. But you can just like grade it up too. I'm sure if you like had like a makeshift sharp edge, you could like kind of like hack some off if like you really, you know, I don't know. Okay, so I have a pretty hefty load here for the size of my cloth. So the oven is hot, and here's my beeswax. Now okay, Zoom settings. That was me. Okay, I just want to let you all know that I love just being quirky. Here's my key. Victory, okay? Okay, that's all. Small wins matter in times like these, okay? Okay. Here's the beeswax. In comparison to the small square, this is a lot of beeswax. I'm not doing any measurements. If you really need measurements, please let me know, but I don't really, you know, I just kind of like sprinkle it on. This is pretty bad. Oh my goodness. Shout out to my friend Carmen for holding the laptop. Okay. Even distribution. It's actually like kind of crazy because my interest started at the beehive, and then I ended up like working at the farm. But when I first got to Dickinson, I was just like, I'm gonna be in the beehive, and I'm gonna work with the bees all the time. And I'm gonna figure out how to support the pollinators that do their due. I think that's equal distribution. I think that's a bit excess. And I was gonna support the pollinators that do their due and like go through the process of like looking at it through Moodle. Do y'all see that? Looking at it through Moodle. And I'm gonna stop this story. I just wanna include that this is also like a tutorial. So this is just a small sheet on a pan, which is on top of this wax paper, with a preheated oven from 350 degrees that I preheated before we started. And I wanted to add that this is the step where you would drizzle your jojoba oil, pronunciation, jojoba oil, jojoba oil, or your tree resin, which is included when you look at sources on how to make this, because I did my research. And when you buy this from a brand, there's a brand that makes these cloths. And when you buy those cloths, the ingredients that they have are tree resin and jojoba oil for elasticity, so it's easier to bend, and tree resin so that it's a tackier feel. But when I first made these, I just used beeswax and they were pretty okay. So, I mean, if I don't have to use something, I'm not gonna like make myself use it. If I wanted a sturdier hold, or if I, started really making them to like have for different things other than like bowl tops and cup tops, then I'll probably invest in something sturdier. But for now, this is what I'm using. But I just thought that was important to include because you might want yours a little bit more durable than mine.
So what's the largest like size that you've made these before?
Okay, like if you can imagine, like Pyrex is a Pyrex measuring cup?
I think so.
A glass Pyrex, that size. Because when I was making my chapstick, I'm sorry for like reference, but like a Pyrex, like a measuring cup, because when I was making my chapsticks, I wanted to like cover it really quickly, like just in case, like I didn't want anything in, I make chapsticks and people put their mouth on chapstick. So I was really, really touchy about anything getting inside of that formula. So I needed to cover it, but I wanted to cover it with something that compressed or didn't blow away with the wind. So I think these would be really cute too for like cans or like bottles. So that's what I'm making this one for. So right now, I don't know. Okay. Woo. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna set a timer because that's important. I'm gonna set a timer because we don't want anything to burn in there. So 5. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Shout out to my friend who housed me when I was outside. Okay. 5 to 7 minutes. So I put it on 5 and I'll do minute intervals if it's not all the way melted as we talk. That's safe. I think that's safe. And I just like full discretion. This is a Dickinson oven. I use my oven at home. But something that was also asked to me, like I posted this this DIY on my Instagram, and something that was proposed to me was like you use a lot of energy when you use like a oven. And I said, that makes a lot of sense, like for a small cloth sheet. But I also, I mean, it was summer. So I was like, okay, maybe you could use the sun if it was a really hot day. Or something that generated a little bit less heat, like maybe not an oven, but maybe like a stove top or something small. I'm looking into learning how to do this a different way with making a liquid solution that you put on, that you heat up prior, and then you can just like slap it on. But that's like what oven temperature. I put 375 because that's generally the oven temperature, but I think that 375 worked for me last time. I put 375. Yeah, for 5 to 7 minutes. Anybody have any question? I'm like, I speak really fast. If I'm speaking too fast, also let me know that too, please.
Do you sell your chapsticks? Do you have anything online like that the Center for Sustainability Education could help share that with other people? Like, are you trying to do a business? Do you just do it for fun?
Well, yeah, this summer I actually got my LLC in Georgia
Nice.
for my business, Grounded in Water, and I make chapsticks, which were inspired by Dickinson because I saw like a chapstick recipe. I wanted to have a deodorant business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where the hive came in. Like this goes full circle because that's where the hive came in. My interest for the hive came when I was like learning about sustainability in general, but the hive event was a hive event that I attended where I learned how to make deodorant. And then later, when that seed was planted in me, I was like, oh, sustainable this and DIY that. I was seeing things on Pinterest. But then I was home for a holiday, and when we got one of the Dickinsonian like magazines, there were two little cutouts. I will always remember two little cutouts. It was like one lip balm and one, I think it was deodorant. But I was like, deodorant, I got that. I was like, not quite. I didn't quite have that. And then I tried with the same ingredients because I acquired more ingredients because deodorant requires all the same ingredients as lip balm and more. So because I already had all of those ingredients, deodorant didn't quite work. So I was like, I'm gonna try out lip balm. And I tried out lip balm and I liked it. I thought it, like, I don't know, it just kind of stuck. I just never imagined to be making it and selling it, but I do. And I have like a website and I'm planning to release these new fall flavors. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, we will run an ad. We will promote that in our sustainability newsletter that goes to 1,400 people. We'll link them to your website. All we need from you is the quote that it all started with the hive, right? Like just, let's just win-win market this, and we're happy to point to student entrepreneurial businesses. I think that's awesome. So
thank you so much. And I actually, if you want to include some of this as well, I have the receipts to prove it. Because the day that I went to go make the deodorant, I took pictures of the deodorant recipe. I was like, I'm gonna do that. And I have it saved on my Google Photos. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Like,
we've had great success with those DIY projects. You know, I challenged sometimes Valerie, who's on the call here, she's done some with me too. I often challenge the students because we end up like sometimes we end up ordering things like these expensive oils or whatever we might need. And it does, like, you know, the cost adds up and shipping. And so we want to promote the DIY without being unsustainable about it, you know? So we've had some really good events like that, but.
Yep. And when I also did that event, I'm going to get an oven mitt, but when I also did that event, I got a jar that was used by somebody else. So like even the jar, even down to the supplies being used for the event, there goes the alarm. It was all sustainable. Oh my goodness, it came out so great. Blessings are great. Okay, that was perfect. So for, I guess if you want to make it at Dickinson, then you know that a typical Dickinson oven, 375 for 5 minutes exactly. Woo. So this is what it looks like. I don't know. Yeah, it's here. I also included a paintbrush in the things that you would need just in case you had beeswax chunks or pellets that were, you know, different in size, varied in size, and they would create a pool of beeswax. So this is at this point is when you would use the brush, and a brush that you don't want, because beeswax is wax, and so it's not water soluble, at least not in the beginning, or at least it's very difficult to be. But even now, I can still disperse like beeswax so that it's getting onto all of the edges. Yep. Sorry, y'all. It's kind of awkward to like hold and wipe and wipe. And to speed up this process, you could like put it in the fridge, but honestly, you could just like let it cool on like a cold window. That will work too, because it's gonna harden at room temperature. Well, when it's cool at least. So. But something that I also wanted to include was that if you have a 100% cotton shirt, like this one when I don't want it anymore, or like any fabric laying around, that's also a 100% cotton strip. Make do with what you got. Like people don't want clothes anymore and you want to make one of these, then you can like cut that up.
Does the, sorry, lost my voice. Does the fabric have to be like 100% cotton to make these wraps?
I think that they do have to be 100% cotton. And so like, I just want to show like it's 100% coated. I just don't want to, I've only done 100% cotton, and when I looked up how to do this, it was always 100% cotton. I could try and figure that out, but I wouldn't say yeah, and I never tried it. But even now, this is starting to stiffen.
Like with one of these wraps, like how many uses do you get out of them, or in your experience, like, and then can you like, if it started to lose its stiffness or whatever, could you like redo it and like use the same sheet and just like add more beeswax or something?
Now, with the durability in mind, these do tend to get stiff. So if you plan to use it for a longer time, then the oil is the way to go. And I think that if you plan to use it on something like, for something that you plan to have on, like, I don't know, if you want to use it like a longer term, like if you drive a lot and you plan on sitting there in your car, things of that sort, then you might want it to be a little bit more tacky. And that's when you kind of like adjust these to yourself, add a little bit of jojoba oil, or you could add a little bit of tree resin to adjust to you. But to answer your question, it just really depends on what you're like using it for. If it gets dirty, you can like, you wash it, like you hand wash it. It's like washing it more on the problem spot because they are pretty durable. And then you like let it air dry. So you do your soap and water situation, but you wouldn't like throw it in the washing machine. That'll kill it. But I didn't think that this would be like done in time, but it's pretty cool. Moment of truth. So it's the right size and it's pretty stiff. It's like not moving. And
So did you add whatever the oil is called, to that one that you just made, or did you only do beeswax?
I only did beeswax.
Okay. What does the oil do again?
Yep, the jojoba oil. Okay, so now I could demonstrate because I'm using this. So this is like the hold of it. And then you warm it to the heat of your hands, but also taking into consideration, like, I just made it and it's not all the way cool. I'm just, showing you all. And I made mine a little big for this cap. I didn't do any measuring or anything, but like, it's pretty legit. Like, I'm gonna put my bottle on the floor and don't got a cap, or like a can situation. I wish I had a can, but the jojoba oil for this action that you would be clamping on your beeswax wrap onto something, it would give you a little less kickback with this. Like, this would be a little smoother. So you would just smooth it down. This one is like still legit, but there's always ways to like spruce it up. Then tree resin. This one is still tacky because it's cooling, but when you wrap this, tree resin makes it stickier. So when the beeswax is usually clinging to itself or using like the beeswax to cling to the bottle, but the tree resin would add an extra reinforcement to that wrap. And also just to like show, like if you had like some, I don't know, some M&Ms, some makeshift. I've also like thrown like things in here and just like kind of closed it up. And it's not plastic, so it's legit, it works. And if you want to get fancy, you could do like tweed, but that's a little less convenient, a little bit more fancy. But yeah, and that's pretty tight. Pretty tight. Nothing's really coming out of here. If you have some like Cheez-Its that you didn't finish and you like throw it in your bag, because that's how things kind of like crumbs get in your bag. Like this is real, this is real stuff. It like seems small, but like when you have something to wrap it up and just keep it compact, it's nice. And it doesn't take up so much space. Like when you need it, and then you finish it, stack them back up into your drawer, your cupboard. And it's just that easy. Yeah, Stephanie?
So if you were holding something in there that was kind of messy and you wanted to wash it to reuse it, like could you wash it just in the laundry machine, or like would that be okay with the beeswax?
Can you use this in the washing machine?
Yeah. Or like how would you wash it if you wanted to? Can you wash it?
So I guess I'm gonna just like utilize like Zoom to the best of my capabilities because I have a sponge right here. So you would like say like some syrup got on it, or like some whatever, tomato sauce, because tomato sauce always gets on everything. It's not soft, or it doesn't really feel permeable. Like it doesn't feel like if something spilled on it, it would get in and through, you know what I mean? Because it's wax and it's coated with the wax. So after you take this situation, this fabric out of the oven with the beeswax and it's covering and it's fully submerged, and then you use the paintbrush to evenly distribute it, then what you should have when you're finished, or at least very close, is a fully coated strip. And it's generally hard, so you can like wipe it. This is not doing it any damage, and I just made this. And like this is my favorite use for it because I'm always leaving cups, and flies love juice. And flies always, or if you have dogs, testy dogs or cats that like will lap your juice. Mason jars are such aesthetic. Yeah.
That's awesome. Are there any other questions for anyone? I think Abby just turned off her camera, but it looked like Abby was making it right on the spot, which is cool.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. I saw her pull the parchment paper out. I'm like, yeah.
I am making it on the spot, but I'm 100 steps behind, so I'm like checking like a step-by-step guide, but I really appreciate the explanations for everything. You've been very helpful.
Yes, of course. And if you have any like questions, then like I'm like always like available via like my email. We do emails because this is college, but also through Instagram because I sell chapsticks. Link in my bio. On Instagram, I'm D the Giant. It'll come up. D_the Giant. And I try to do things like this on my like Instagram often because I have fun doing this. I think that like I'm just passionate about it. I feel like being sustainable, being healthy, but also just being a regular functioning person that wants to like have fun and have convenience, that things be affordable. This fabric sheet, like the entirety of the fabric sheet is, well, I kind of hacked it up a little bit, but it's I just want to get it for reference. Okay, here we are. This fabric sheet was 97 cents. Also, this was from Walmart, but if you have like a local, you know, area, yeah, this was 97 cents. Beeswax is expensive. That is true. That is the case. But I don't know, plastic over and over is expensive too. Like buying Ziplocs over and over is expensive. Lids is expensive. Lids are expensive. When you have a can of soda and you can't finish it because you put it down and bugs might be drinking your soda before you, that's also a waste. So it's like we put in the effort now and then we get back the effort later. Yep.
For sure. Any other final questions? I know, if not, I'd like to, Lindsey had to leave early. She runs, I'm pretty sure, CEASE, the Center for Sustainable Education or Sustainability Education at Dickinson. And she put something in the chat about their new like campaign called People, Planet, and Prosperity Skills for Change. And it's highlighting people like Dee who do these things and have these skills that, you know, can make your life more sustainable. So Dee, you're a great example of this. And, you know, thank you for taking the time to show us all how to do this. And if anyone else on the call like goes on and, other than Abby, goes on and makes it on their own, like I probably will, like definitely upload it to Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and, you know, tag the farm. We love to see it, and tag CEASE as well. And Dee, and please follow Dee and all the cool stuff she does on her Instagram and Chapstick and everything.
Can you just repeat the Instagram handle?
What was that?
Can you repeat the Instagram handle? I couldn't hear it.
It's Dee the Giant. I think DEE _ the Giant. She just put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any final parting words, Dee?
Yes, I want to say thank you so much to you, Maddie. Like I email you like 10 times, Maddie. Thank you so much for supporting me and just helping me show what it is I had to show. Like this is like a small, but it's just one small thing in slowly changing our lives around to be a little less wasteful. And I love to be like less wasteful. And also thank you all for your time in the smack middle of the week, in the evening, when anybody could be doing homework right now. It's like amazing to just be a part of like different faces. I miss you all. You know, it's quarantine life is just different, but like we're learning to push through and try new things and be crafty because we're in the house. So why not like do something new? Yeah, but just thank you so much. And if you do make these or like different variations, please tag me. Oh my goodness. Or if you like want to challenge me to make something, or if you want to like do a challenge or anything sustainable, like I'm just like dying to just try new things. So just let me know.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, shameless self-plug. I'm going to be writing an article for the Dickinsonian about how to get over seasonal depression. That will be coming out very soon. And I think that I just want to share that information. So that will also be coming out. I just want to like spread positivity and share that. So yes.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Thanks again, Dee. We'll be putting this on, or I'll be putting it on the farm's YouTube with the last class we had, which was a canning class. So I encourage you to share this class if you enjoyed it with your friends. And we're also going to we have a few more cooking classes scheduled through the farm on Zoom, kind of like this, pretty, you know, informal asking questions and stuff. And you can find the information for that on the Facebook. There may be one in early October, but there's definitely one, I think, October 19th with another professor, cooking class. So keep an eye out for that. And thank you all for coming.